Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Leafs Line Podcast. Today, we're going to be previewing and keeping our train moving on the World Juniors previews. We're Switzerland, man, the neutral country. Everyone knows they're never into conflict, but this year, I don't know, they might get into some little bit more conflict with a lot of different teams. They're going to be going to battle, and we're going to be talking about it here today. I'm Mary Russo. Join me for this episode of the Leafs Line Podcast. It is Jared Rotenberg and Adamo Romoli. The Swiss, man, they're entering the tournament with very little room for storyline speculation. Will we see a new chapter continue in the wild adventures of Switzerland top tier hockey, or is this the end result, the final chapter of a long stead career on hockey's top international flight? There's really no in between. It's one or the other, and it's going to be exciting to see because they can very well get relegated, but they can very well compete and maybe find a spot in the knockout stage. If you hold any value to this past summer's tournament, you will find that the end might be a little bit sooner rather than later because they did not have a very good result. They finished eighth. If you if you guys do not know, it was not very pleasant to watch. There was not so great hockey. And with the results over the last 12 years being a bit of a mixed bag, it's been a lot of ups and downs, fourth and fifth place finishes, but also at the same time, too, seventh and eighth place as well. So it's been all around the place. You really never know what to expect out of Switzerland. Jared, I'm hoping you can help me out with that. What can we expect from some of the players that we're about to see don the jersey, the beautiful red Swiss jerseys that we're about to see get unveiled in the upcoming days? But who are some players that are going to be making impacts in those threads? And are they going to be enough to guide this team in the right direction and make sure that that chapter in Switzerland hockey continues to evolve over the next couple of years? Because relegation would be really heartbreaking for this group.
I think they have a couple players of note, mainly those being Lian Bichelle and Brian Zanetti. Those are their drafted prospects. But in general, despite some top guys, I really don't see this team doing much of anything in this tournament. They're, of course, playing in Group B with Finland and the United States and Slovakia. I think they're going to finish below all three of those, probably in a battle for last place in the division with Austria. They're not a great team overall, not very deep, a major lack of depth, I'd actually argue, both offensively and defensively. And as well, just beyond their top guys, they don't have a lot going for them, in my opinion. To get into those top guys, just to answer the question, Lian Bichelle, he was a 2022 first round pick of the Dallas Stars. He's a big body, 6'5", 216-pound physical defenseman, known to be and described by scouts as a big body, shutdown physical guy. He's a lot of strength, a hard shot, but as well a lack of offensive potential, which to be honest is pretty expected from a 6'5" big body guy. He already has found his role. He knows what he needs to do. He's not there for the goal scoring. He's there to shut things down, slow down the game, and he's done a great job of that as well. He's also known as a guy who reads the game very well, and he's a difference maker defensively whenever he's on the ice, shutting things down. He's currently playing for Leksands IF of the SHL, the Swedish Hockey League. So that's a guy definitely to take note of because he is a top NHL prospect drafted in the first round, someone who could make them a strong defensive team, hopefully allowing them to weather the storm that they will surely face in Group B, facing off against teams like the US and Finland and Slovakia. But in general, aside from their top guys, their top stars, I really don't see a lot coming from this team. I'd be shocked if they don't finish near the bottom of the tournament overall, likely on their way to getting relegated because there's just not much going for them as well. Another top guy I mentioned, Brian Zanetti, is another big body physical defenseman playing for the Peterborough Petes of the OHL. Again, he has a little bit more offensive potential. Last season, playing for the Petes, he had 26 points and 22 of those being assists in 56 games with the Petes. So he's a two-way defenseman. But in general, with their top guys, the most notable guys on their team being shutdown defensemen, I don't really see a lot coming the way in terms of goal scoring or anything like that in this tournament. Once again, I'd be shocked if Switzerland is doing a lot in this tournament, which is sad to say, but I think it's just the harsh reality.
Yeah, it's not really, there's no real sharp edge with Switzerland. And with sharp edges, you really have a lot more of a wider base, a little bit more backup, but behind them, it's not too much like that. There's nothing too special coming out of Switzerland. Adam, I don't know if you're going to plead the case otherwise, but is there any players that might be worth looking out for? And again, what are the expectations we're sort of looking to see out of Switzerland? Is this a team that we're expecting to get into the knockout stage and playing some January hockey, or could it be the other way and they're out before, it even starts?
Yeah, unfortunately for Switzerland, hockey is not a peaceful game, and I just don't see this team doing anything. Like, they have the least amount of NHL prospects in the tournament. Switzerland, this was I'm not going to act like this was ever a great nation, but this was a nation that could steal a game. They could, you know, this wasn't a team that you would hang 15 on. Those were reserved for like the Denmarks, the Austrias, the Latvias. But Switzerland is creeping into that territory. They have one other guy that Jared didn't mention, Attilio Biasca. Biasca is actually a place in Switzerland, believe it or not. He's not from there, but I digress.
Facts
He
anyways.
is, yeah,
This guy knows his
geography.
Switzerland knowledge, man. He's knowledgeable.
Hey, I'm a big geography guy. And speaking of geography, out east, he's the captain of the Halifax Mooseheads. Well over a point, not well over a point a game, about a point a game, in the queue, which that means something, but that's about it. You know, like you said, Bichel, that's a defensive guy. Like, I don't know who else is going to score on this team. They don't really have any prospects to look out for in the NHL draft. They don't have really any even Biasca, he is not affiliated with an NHL team. He's probably going to be a guy that ends up going back to Europe, Tech, playing U Sports or something. So, yeah.
Oh, and I think the point you made about how they're kind of declining and very rapidly too. Again, Switzerland, I don't know if you guys remember, I was very fond of this memory. They're never a team that gets pummeled by any squad. They're always putting up fights. And that's what kind of the identity I place with Switzerland. Big teams. I believe the coach also had that hilarious interview or something like that. So that's also one that goes with Switzerland. But again, this team was never in shambles. And now slowly starting to get to that point. The hockey development is slowing down for this group. And I think it's a cause for concern. This is I think, either this year or next year, depending on how this tournament goes. They have to save themselves. It's really their backs are against the wall. They have to make something happen because, and quite frankly, make something happen out of nothing. You have to push through. You have to get maybe a couple wins to get yourselves in a position to succeed. And again, wins are going to be really big for this team. You have to celebrate them like crazy because you really don't know when the next time you're going to be seeing them, especially with the group that's like decline in hockey potential. We're not seeing a lot of Swiss guys getting drafted anymore. A lot of them are going and opting to go to the, like you said, Adamo, in Europe or in other places. The NHL is never really the big place for Swiss hockey players anymore. So this is a big year for them. This is a big year, not just for them as a team on paper, them as a team in this tournament, how they finish, but as a whole entire hockey program, developmental program in general. And that leads me to my next case in regards to predictions. Where we got these guys finishing? Are they going to be a bottom feeding team? Like I mentioned off the top, it can either go two ways. They've proven time and time again, they can sweep their way to the knockout stage. But again, different talents, different guys contributing to that success. This year around, or last year around rather, they didn't have that same success. So where are we going to see them? They're a team that can go on either end of the spectrum. What's 2023 going to bring them? And are they going to be even playing hockey in 2023? Jared, I'll start with you.
I have them finishing 8th place overall in the tournament. I think they finish above Austria in their division. That's probably going to be where their only win comes. But in general, I think they're going to get pummeled the rest of the way, and I think they're finishing pretty close to the bottom in 8th place.
Don, what about you?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. They're probably going to come second last in the division just because Austria's there, and that would mean they're playing Canada in the knockout round, and we know how that's going to go.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it isn't in the old days anymore where they might sweep a little bit of an upset. It's far from it. Again, it kind of goes to show where the evolution of the World Juniors Championship is what I love doing these shows year in, year out, is that you get to see the evolution of these hockey programs. And it's not just the teams and the countries playing, it's the entire nation and how their hockey operations registers. And it just goes to show how skill separates a lot of these teams. The skill set between the top 4 teams and what we'll be discussing a lot throughout these opening episodes on the Leafs Line podcast, the like lower or mid 5 teams, it's day and night. They're not very close. And that's something that's going to have to change if these smaller teams like Switzerland want to catch up. And it wasn't like that before. Give it 5 years ago, and these teams were somewhat close. It wasn't ever definite, but you can somewhat see, I don't know, a U.S. team struggling for their standards and a Swiss team coming in and taking care of business, upsetting them, something like that. This year and these upcoming tournaments, you're not seeing that too much. And if there will be any upcoming tournaments, depending on where these guys finish. But hey, it's going to be an interesting thing to see. They have a lot to prove wrong. They got a lot to prove right. So Switzerland is going to be a fun team to look out for because they have a lot at stake. So look out for Switzerland. Look out for some more episodes of the Leafs Line podcast because we're pumping out weekly content, NHL news, Leafs news, all that jazz. You can find it all here. DSN, Dynasty Sports Network, which you can see on your screen with that lovely logo. Take a look at it as well. A lot of content, baseball, football, right? Probably right there.
Right in the middle.
Exactly. Baseball, football, hockey, as you can see right here, there's so many things that you can explore on dynastysportsnetwork.ca. Put it into your web browser. It'll come up easy. And it's gonna be a good view, a good look, and you'll have a blast there as well. Cool website, cool colors. You'll like it. But hey, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Mayor Russo, Dom Romoli, and Jared Rotenberg. We're signing off to you on the Switzerland preview. We're gonna make our way to Czechia in just a little bit. So take care, tune in, and yeah, thanks for joining us today.